As injuries continue to pile up for fantasy baseball, finding hidden gems on the waiver wire becomes your top priority. There are still legit difference makers available in a majority of leagues, players itching and ready to break out and help pull your fantasy roster out of the gutter. I'm back, you're back, Waivers are back. In this video, I'm going to go over the names that you need to target for the rest of your league mates catch on. Thanks for all the support, guys. I love you. Let's get into it. Okay, first up, we're going to start with an absolute banger, and that's going to be Robbie Snelling's off the Miami Marlins. Now, the Marlins made it official on Wednesday, calling up the lefty Snelling to make his highly anticipated Major League debut this Friday against the Nationals. Now, he's an uber-talented pitcher, at least a top 50 consensus prospect. Any way you look at it, people are just expecting Snelling to make an immediate impact in both real life and fantasy from the get-go. Snelling was actually formerly recruited as a linebacker at LSU. He's an absolute tank out there. Somebody's just got to get Jerry Jones on the blower there, try and convert him, try and recruit him because, he's got to be better than the linebackers that we've been trotting out there last year every freaking Sunday. But anyway, Snelling has posted a fat 1.86 ERA, 0.9 whip, and 44 Ks in just 29 innings pitched. Those 44 strikeouts do time for the minor league so far in 2026. But he's also just done that with a very low swinging strike rate of only 10%, which I'll be very interested and very intrigued to see how that holds up against major league level hitting. Snelling also has an inflated walk rate at 12.8%. So those are two things that I'm keeping a very close eye on that could potentially lead him to struggling out of the gate or having some difficulty in getting through innings. His arsenal, though, consists of a four-seamer, curveball, changeup, slider, and sinker. The four-seamer has 94 to 97 mile-per-hour velocity, which is plus from the left side. He has 18.2 inches of induced vertical break, so it just does have phenomenal shape, and it will play at the major league level. I'm not worried about that whatsoever. The curveball also has tons of horizontal action and drop, and a 12 mile-per-hour velocity difference from his fastball and over 2 feet of vertical separation. So that's something that you do want to see between the off-speed and the fastball. He absolutely just dominates lefties straight up with his two-pitch approach, heaters and curveball. Like nobody can touch it in the minors. It has just been so dominant for him. I'll be interested to see if he even bothers incorporating his slider more against lefties in the major league level. That's just how good that combo's been for him. The changeup has also generated a 47.6% whiff rate in the minors, so yeah, that's all you really need to know about that pitch. A lefty needs a changeup to attack righties, and he's got it. 4 of his pitches generate over 30% whiffs, and 2 of them over 40%, which is just downright absurd, like kiss your buddy on the mouth absurd. What? I expect Snelling to rack up Ks and produce ground balls at a good clip. I worry about him walking too many and missing the zone too often, but who cares, man? Like we always say, we chase upside. Snelling is oozing with it. I almost feel like the type is just too high at the moment, though. Like it's too high, people are too excited, and the only outcome is for him to fall flat on his face. But we'll see. I'm in, you should be in too. Happy bidding this weekend, boys. Okay, next up, we're going to go with another player who I just think is a must-add right now, and I'm going to explain why. First off, his bat speed is up nearly 4 miles per hour from last year, sitting at 75.3 compared to 71.7. And I think that's just quick maths there. Higher the bat speed, bigger potential for power. His pull air percentage is 36.4%, which is absurd and obviously will go down once it's larger than a small sample size. But it's an amazing sign it's happening. You know what I say. You don't need to hear me say it, but I'll say it one more time. When you pull the ball in the air a lot, generally good things tend to happen over time. Player I'm talking about is Mr. JJ Bleday from the Cincinnati Reds. So yeah, he's done all those things, and he's also just reduced his ground ball rate and hitting more line drives, which logically just raises his floor, and he's just been way more aggressive with pitches in the zone, which is a good thing. We don't want guys chasing. We're letting just freebies go right down the pipe. It's kind of amazing he started off in AAA knowing the Reds' current lineup. The former top prospect is just crushing the ball. He has 4 home runs already, hits in 6 straight games. He's made significant improvements, like I said. He has a great home ballpark, and I don't care that he could potentially be platooned. It's a right-handed dominant league, and his playing time should be there against righties. Now, yes, this could fall flat on my face. There's no question about it. He's a 28-year-old with not much of a track record to fall back on, but we have to be aggressive chasing upside where it looks like a hitter has made some underlying changes to their hitting profile. And that's exactly what Bleday has done. He's my favorite hitting ad heading into this weekend. All right, and we got another banger. Maybe I'm just biased, or whatever, but we got Logan Henderson off the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, Milwaukee Bucks, Milwaukee Brewers. My head's in NBA playoff mode right now. But now Henderson just straight up has filthy stuff. And I think he's very close to putting it all together for real life and fantasy. And there is a change that he's made this year that we'll get into shortly that has just made me super excited for him. So the one thing that has really held him back so far has just been opportunity. Last season, he dominated in both the minors and the majors from April to June, allowing less than 3 runs in all 12 outings and fewer than 2 in 11 of those 12. His MLB debut was impressive too last year, but the Brewers still opted to send him back down to AAA. And then when he rejoined the rotation in mid-May, he posted a 1.80 ERA, a 1.07 whip, and a 20-5 strikeout to walk ratio in 15 innings, to only be sent back down again in favor of bullpen support. His season was ultimately cut short last year due to a flexor strain in August, but so far this year, screw the past, Henderson has held a 1.02 ERA and a 23.3% strikeout to walk ratio through 3 starts with AAA before being promoted last Sunday. Now getting into the good stuff, now getting into the arsenal where he's made a significant change. Henderson attacks you with a 4-pitch mix. He has the 4-seamer, changeup, cutter, and slider. The heater has great shape with a vert of 17 inches and an extremely flat attack angle with a height adjusted VA of 1.7. The changeup is just downright nasty, though, with 20.6 inches of arm side break, up from 18.8 inches last year. The one big change this year, though, that gets me all juiced up, that gets me the most excited about him, like I said earlier, is the slider, or really, I guess, the sweeper based on its movement. Henderson only threw a few sliders last year, but they actually had arm side break, so it would move into righties. But now he's refined that pitch and given it glove side movement this year, moving away from righties, differentiating it from his changeup to give him a more out and away pitch to attack with. And I think that's just going to be massive for him and his arsenal and his ability to attack both sides of the plate this year. There is one thing that I'm not super into, though, is how he uses his changeup 40% of the time against righties. So with that arm side movement, it's coming into the body of the hitter instead of diving away. Usually you don't like to see that, or at least use that much on the right side, but we'll see how it works out. Henderson had a fantastic first start, going 6 innings with 8 Ks against a heavy lefty lineup in Washington, so I didn't really get to see how that changeup approach will play off against tougher righties, but we're not going to have to wait long for that. He's got the Yankees on tap this weekend, so we're going to see how that plays against Aaron Judge and co. But Henderson with an overall excellent command profile, strong strikeout indicators. Brewers do have a track record of developing pitches, but with a rotation spot seemingly opening up for him for the foreseeable future, with Pricer getting set back and Woodruff seemingly unknown with what his timetable is for a return, Henderson has an opportunity in front of him here that I'm sure he's been waiting for like over a year now. I'm in on Henderson, and I'll be watching that started against the Yankees very closely. I think he's an upside play that just needs to be rostered in all 12-team leagues right now. Okay, now we're going to pop in a couple deep league ads here. I know I kind of never really do a lot of deep league options. I try to get some in there every couple weeks, but we'll do a double banger for you guys. In the first deep league ad here, we got Bryce Matthews off the Houston Astros. Now, he's a former top prospect. And that just makes me giggle every time I say it, because like, how many times do you hear that? Every video, every article, he's a former top prospect. Like, really, does that mean anything? It's kind of funny, honestly. But Matthews made his MLB debut last summer, only just given a taste, though. 13 games, and he posted a nasty 167, 222, 452 triple stash with a 674 OPS. So it wasn't good, but he did, however, launch 4 home runs and swipe 1 base, showcasing some of that power, speed potential that he might have here. So Matthews has worked himself into practically an everyday role right now with Houston struggling with some injuries in a super utility role. He's banged 3 home runs and 8 RBI over his last 7 games, and I know if you look at the Savant page, it's pretty flaccid. Nothing to get excited about besides his barrel rate and his chase rates. And practically all his expected stats are worse than his actual. So I'm not really doing a great job of selling you here. But he does pull the ball in the air at a very good clip to help maintain some of that power, and has made some contact improvement on his percentages this year. One of the biggest improvements, at least in my opinion, is his ability to hit fastballs this year, which is so key for a young hitter. In 2025, Matthews posted a 50% whiff rate against heaters, but that dropped to 33.3% in 2026. Also backing it up was his 349 expected WOBA against fastballs this year, compared to only a 252 expected WOBA against fastballs last year. Another thing when I was looking deeper into Matthews was his road and away splits are pretty insane. He's batting 88 at home and 317 on the road. And yes, his most recent streak, you guessed it, they were on the road. All in all, though, Matthews is a gifted athlete that could have plus power and speed if he can continue making improvements in the contact and not just completely selling out for power like he is. So he is a type of profile that if you notice changes, even if they seem underwhelming right now at the moment, it can be worth taking a fleer on in deep leagues again. I'm not chasing this in 12s, no way. Would have to be at least 14 plus. There are just still way too many holes or potential red flags in his profile at my time for a league player pool of that number. Someone to throw on your watch list for 12s though, where deep leagues definitely consider adding them and just see where this thing goes. See if he can continue compounding some changes here and continue making some more contact. Okay, as promised, this is going to be my deep league ad 2.0, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this guy because I am nowhere near bought back in, but there are some real subtle changes here that get me a little excited, or that potentially maybe could get him back to the version that we saw of himself in 2023, and that's going to be Mr. Zach Geloff off the Oakland Sacramento Athletics. So really, to keep it simple here and shorter, he had a bunch of unfortunate injuries. He had the broken hand, he had the rib stress reaction, he had a shoulder dislocation, never really giving him the continued opportunity to refine or regain his stroke that saw him have so much success in 2023. Now, of course, you can't put that all on injuries because he has absolutely been piss poor in his time up in the majors when he was healthy, or in the minors as well. But since he's been recalled, this stint in the MLB seems a little different, and he has made some improvements I quickly want to touch on. The bat speed is up, he's lengthened his swing to try and get more pop, his pull air percentage is at 30%, so he is really selling out on getting the ball in the air to his pull side. His average exit velocity is at 92.1 miles per hour, 3 miles per hour harder than his rookie season in 2023, and all his contact rates are the best of his short career so far. Add in that Geloff has the lowest striker rate of his career at 24.6, and I know that's still too high, you'd like to see it lower, but it's moving in the right direction here. And now you can sort of see why I am taking a little bit longer of a look at him. Don't get me wrong though, there's absolutely no guarantee any of this is real. Advanced stats are just advanced stats, and I do think some people can just get carried away or so carried away looking into them. At the end of the day, you do just have to go out there and perform on the field, but they can shed some light for potential major improvements in a hitter or pitcher profile. All in all, Geloff is someone I definitely keep an eye on in 12s. And if you're in a deeper league and need second base help, definitely consider adding him, depending what your player pool looks like. We chase upside, and maybe it's going to start to resemble just a little bit of what he looked like in 2023, and that would be useful for deep leagues. Okay, now we're going to go up with the classic fluke or not, and that's going to be Andrew Vaughn from the Milwaukee Brewers. So the biggest thing with Vaughn, which we still don't know yet, was if his finish this season last year with the Milwaukee Brewers coming over from the trade from the White Sox, was it real or just a fluke? His triple stash was 308, 375, 493 with 9 home runs over 64 regular season games with the Brewers, and he maintained an 868 OPS. But he has just been injured since opening day, suffering that lame hamate bone injury earlier this year. Vaughn was just super inconsistent in his tenure with the Chicago White Sox, but the underlying stats in 2025 were great. The former first-round pick maybe just needed a change of scenery, which you do see with players, or just play for a franchise that has been great in player development over the last few years to fully unlock his potential. Now that Vaughn is back healthy, he has the opportunity to see if he can repeat that level of success that he had in the second season of 2026 and prove that it wasn't just a fluke. He blasted a home run in his second game back, and I'm super intrigued to see which version of Andrew Vaughn we're going to get in 2026. The Chicago White Sox version, who was always inconsistent and always disappointed, or the new and improved Milwaukee Brewers version, who raked in 2025. If you need corner infield help, I'm all for seeing if Vaughn can prove it wasn't a fluke in those 64 games last year and did just need a change of scenery. Okay, and you know we always got to give at least one prospect to stash here in these videos. And what a better day, or what a better prospect to talk about than my own Seattle Mariner, Cade Anderson. Now, I know I'm a homer, you guys know I'm a homer, but I don't even know what they're going to do with fitting Bryce Miller back into the rotation early next week. I've heard talk that they might even put Hancock back into the bullpen, which is crazy based on how good he's been as a starter this year. But regardless of that, in today's world and in today's MLB, starting pitching rotations can just be completely flipped on their head in a matter of a week. We've seen it with all these big pitchers seemingly going down with all these unexpected injuries in just a blink of an eye. And the second a spot opens up for Anderson, he's going to be ready because it's so obviously clear he legit has nothing else to prove in the minors already. He's a near finished product, flawlessly dominating Double A. In 5 starts, he has a 0.37 ERA. Yes, a 0.37. 38 Ks and only 4 walks. And I know you're thinking, well, wouldn't he need to dominate AAA as well before he gets his call up to the majors? But if you look around the league, a lot of people have just been skipping that completely for some pitchers. Like, look at Chase Burns last year, just completely missed it. And more importantly, even the Mariners themselves have done it recently in recent years. They did it with Brian Wu, and they actually did it with Bryce Miller. Anderson has a lethal 4-pitch mix with a fastball, slider, curveball, and changeup. And I know there's no reason to turn 5 pro starts into like some countdown clock, but homer or not, we don't need to pretend this is ordinary. A left-handed starter with this kind of early command, strikeout to walk profile, and bat missing ability is just not another name on the farm report. The foundation is rock solid, and I legit just can't contain my excitement for it. Okay, now let's move on to the section where I go over the players that have been most added in the last few days. And again, there could be some guys in here that are thinking about adding. Their roster rate may be a little bit higher or maybe a little bit lower about whether you should add them, drop them, or make one of your league mates waste a bunch of fab bidding for them this weekend. So let's get into it. First up for the pitchers, we got a repeat from last week. So I'm going to go over 5 pitchers here. For the first one, it's going to be Mad Max Meyer. Now, I talked about him last week. The fastball still is a little bit underwhelming, but in the last start, it actually had increased vert and a 1.4 height adjusted VA, which is good. The breaking stuff, again, is just legit with him. Meyer is excelling in the big 3 with chase, whiff percentage, and K percentage. I see no reason now why he can't settle in somewhere as like a high 3-ish, low 4-ish ERA type pitcher if the heater can continue to be enough of a foundation for his off-speed pitches. The arm angle is up. The sweeper is an outlier pitch. Meyer is just another classic post-type sleeper, excelling so far in 2026. Okay, we'll keep going with Mitch Keller from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, I don't mind him as a streamer at all. I've never really fully been into him long-term for long-term success because he doesn't have very many whiffs. The K percentage is underwhelming, and he doesn't really have a dominant, overly dominant pitch in his arsenal. His home run to fly ball ratio is at 2.5%, which again is just way below league average. League average is around 12 to 15%, and he has an expected FIP of 3.97 with an actual FIP of 2.89. So he has got a little bit lucky. I do expect some regression here soon. I do think he finishes the season though again with like a sub 4 ERA that will eat up about 180 to 190 innings, giving you a decent shot at a quality start each outing. I think he's like a solid end of the rotation guy in deeper leagues, or a great bench guy that you can start and stream in favorable matchups. Next up, we got Rico Garcia. Now, he seems to be the top option to close right now for Baltimore. He's turned in 6 straight scoreless appearances. He has a 4-pitch arsenal. The Savant page is lit up red. Besides some minor control issues here, the 4-seamer does have nice induced vertical break around 19 inches, and his changeup is plus with its horizontal movement. You save chasers, go to work, get him on your roster, and see how long this thing lasts. Okay, next up, we have Zach Gallen. Honestly, I just wasn't into Zach Gallen at all this year. I don't have any stocks of him in any of my teams, and I was actually quite surprised that his roster rate is still so high here, but I get it. The name value, people are still clinging on to him a little bit longer than they should, just hoping that the old Zach Gallen will return, which he just definitely isn't. Gallen just simply isn't putting batters away, and strikeouts are king for fantasy, but he does have a soft schedule coming up, so I can understand some people still holding, but I'm definitely looking elsewhere. Okay, we'll keep going with the guy that I actually highlighted in my main part of my waiver wire videos a couple videos ago, and that's going to be Connor Prelup. Now, that just goes to show how much I dig his potential upside. Once he gets his changeup to go from more than 43% strikes, it only went for 43% his last outing, we should see the innings pile up and everything just get lifted in his arsenal. With Mick Abel suffering a setback, I'm not sure how long he's going to be out. I think Prelup's spot in the rotation is safe for at least a few more turns here. And you know me, I'm always chasing high whiff, high strikeout potential arms on the waiver wire, and that's exactly what Connor Prelup is. Okay, I know I usually only do 5, but we'll do a little bonus pitcher, and that's going to be Sean Burke from the Chicago White Sox. Now, like, dude, what is happening over in Chicago where they have these 2 pitchers seemingly coming out of nowhere and just pitching so well in real life and returning so much value for fantasy managers early on this season? Like, dude, what are they putting in the water over in CDOT? But honestly, I know I've said Martin kind of screams major regression to me, but he just keeps on dealing. Burke actually looks like he has some more foundational skills to fall back on. And if I think I had to choose between the two who would have potentially more longevity or more consistent success to close out the year, I think I'd lean Burke. But it is just crazy that these two guys are just pitching so well. I don't know how much faith I have in either of them, but man, props to them. Keep riding them till the wheels fall off. Okay, on to the batters here. The 5 most added batters of the last few days. First up, we got Ezekiel Elliott. Now, if the guy could just consistently get on base, his value could be usable since he'd actually be able to showcase his speed. It just never happens for him, at least consistently. I think we're still just going through a hot streak here. I don't expect this to continue. His expected stats are a lot worse than his actuals. He's running a decently high BABIP. The one positive though is he's really increased his bat speed, nearly by 2 miles per hour. But I don't think he's going to be a power guy, or he's never been known to be a power guy in the past. I just legitimately chase elsewhere. Okay, next up we have Brooks Lee. So you look at this guy, you look at his game logs, and you're like, wow, this is great production. I need to go after this. But then if you dig a little deeper, scope the Savant page, underlying metrics, you realize there isn't really anything special here at all. There's no real power. The pull air percentage is great at 20%, but I don't think that will make up or cover up everything else in his fantasy profile. He's running an expected slugging percentage of 322, an expected WOBA of 264. He doesn't take walks, and he isn't going to steal any bases. It's just not a fantasy profile that screams that he needs to be added for 12-team leagues. You can definitely pick him up and start him while he's hot, but as soon as he goes through a cold streak, don't be afraid to move on. Okay, we'll keep going with Brandon Marsh. Now, Marsh is slightly different than Brooks in the fact that his underlying metrics actually do back up some potential value here, coinciding with his game logs. He has solid exit velocity. He has a 50% hard hit rate, which is elite. You'd like to see more barrels, but he pulls the ball in the air at a decent clip. Marsh still chases way too much and doesn't walk, and there is some platoon potential here, but he actually has hit lefties way better this year, batting 280 in 27 plate appearances. There could be a power speed threat here. He had 16 home runs and 19 swipes a couple years ago. He has 4 home runs and 3 swipes this year. The BABIP is high, but I'd way rather add Brandon Marsh than Brooks Lee for 12 league teams. Okay, we'll keep going with another Philly guy, Bryson Stott, and it actually hurts my brain so hard not to say Bryson Scott and then immediately think Michael Scott. But it seems like the Philly guys are getting a bump here after a series against the Marlins and Athletics pitching staff. Stott has added some bat speed. His attack angle is up, and he's pulling the ball at a career rate of 21.6%. The 3 things that you like to see, he's doing. He's actually been pretty unlucky at the plate so far this year too. All his expected stats suggest positive regression, and he's running a low 241 BABIP. Stott is making a lot more contact in the zone too, and he's also increased his exit velocity and hard hit percentages from last year. He's just hunting his pitches more, evidenced by his increase in chase rate and his walk rate just plummeting. Second base is weak. I'm definitely in to take the flare. Okay, and then we got Casey Schmidt. Save one of the best for last. Now, Schmidt has just been crushing the ball lately. His roster rate is skyrocketing. He has increased his bat speed, his attack angle, and his pull air percentage is just a ridiculous 32.2%. Add in the fact that all his underlying power metrics have increased from 2025, and he most certainly would have been in the main waiver wire section if his roster rate hadn't just skyrocketed this week. I don't want to highlight a guy that's like already 50% owned, because I know in all those competitive leagues, he's long gone. And I just feel like I'd be wasting most people's time. So that's why he's in here. But if we're being honest with myself and with you guys, really, he probably should have been in the main waiver wire section last week. So that one's on me, boys. Sorry. But Schmidt is first, second, or third base eligible. He's really been the only bright spot in the really underperforming San Francisco Giants lineup so far this year. He needs to be rostered in all 12 league teams right now, and even 10s while he's seeing the ball just this well. All right, we'll do a little bonus guy for the most added, just because I saw as I was recording this that he's getting called up to the majors. That's going to be Spencer Jones of the New York Yankees. Now, I'm very skeptical of Jones, because especially at this point of his career, he's rocking a 32% strikeout in AAA. And my rule of thumb is with these prospect call-ups in their first taste of the majors, I usually always want to add at least 5% to that strikeout rate going from AAA to the majors. So already at 32%, I think he's going to have a very rough time, or at least in his first stint with strikeouts. He also has a 20.5% swinging strike rate, which is just astronomical. Not really even heard of if it was in the majors. And just a 59% contact rate overall. So again, 2 more things that make his fantasy profile a little worrisome heading into the majors. Those will definitely be tough things to overcome. but he does have legit power speed upside, as he has 11 home runs, 41 RBI, and 7 steals across 142 plate appearances so far. Sometimes things do click when prospects do just get their first taste of the majors, even if they struggle with strikeouts in AAA. Sometimes they just completely abolish that problem in the majors and they never think about it again. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Jones, but you won't see me chasing and blowing my budget on Jones this weekend. Okay, recap time now. We're going to go over my previous waiver wire video I posted on May 1st, see how those guys did, see how they performed, and see if punishment is justified. Remember, check out this section because there still could be some of these guys floating around in your leagues, and they could still be potentially difference makers that you should really consider picking up moving forward. So first up, we had Cole Young, and he went a little cold sack on me there for a bit. Double pain for fantasy and my Mariners, but I still believe in the profile. Second base is weak. It's garbage. There's a lot worse guys out there without nearly as much upside that Cole Young possesses. And then we had Navole Marte. Again, he's just flat out continuing to rake at AAA. He's hitting everything. He's running recklessly. He's a 1.114 OPS, 3 home runs, 8 swipes, and a near 400 batting average. I know the gap between AAA and the majors is huge. I don't need to argue with you about that, but you just don't see many hitters hit this well in AAA because they don't stay down there. They get called up and they get back into the majors. Marte just needs to be challenged again soon. Bryce Miller, the debut is coming. I think he's confirmed to pitch sometime next week. I'm excited. Carlos Cortez, now I was worried about a little bit of regression and potentially some platoon, but he started actually against a lefty earlier this week. There are tangible improvements here, but the floor does still have the ability to fall out at any given time without any real prior track record of success to fall back on. But he just keeps on picking up multi-hit games. And this is the big one, Cade Cavalli. Now, Cade just had a disastrous 4th inning, and he might be a bit more volatile than I initially thought. It's just maybe the pain of really having to rely on that curveball as his go-to pitch. I think it can get him in some tricky situations. Miami's up next, though, so don't drop him. The next start is huge for Cade Cavalli to get back on track and to see how much tangible improvements from those double 10 strikeout games was real. And maybe this just was a little slip up, a little fallback here. And then Jared Jones, looks like his return date is going to be the end of May. His heater still touched triple digits in his second rehab start, which is a great sign. Still love the stash. Okay, so not including the stash or prospect ads, we had Young underperform, but I still believe in it, obviously. Cortez had an okay week. Cavalli did really have an unfortunate start, but Miami on Sunday is huge again, like I said. I'm obviously a little biased because I'm certainly still in on these guys, but if we're just looking at it at face value, none of them really had a good performing week at all. So you got to give the people what they want, and we're going to have a punishment.
Don't hit my nuts too hard. You have to throw that hard.
Okay, and before we keep going, I don't know if the vibe's seem down or whatever, I have less energy. I had some shit going on with my eye this week. I guess I got a corneal ulcer. You can Google it if you want. But I guess it's a medical emergency for your eye because you can lose your vision. So I'm just ripped on roids right now, getting juiced up, having an antibiotic, and I just feel like my brain's kind of all foggy. It's a stressful week. I'm tired, had a lot of crap going on, and I know a lot of you guys don't care. I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just saying if the energy feels, I don't even actually know if I'm going to finish this video, if I have enough energy to edit it or even finish recording, so you may never even see this, but yeah, that's what's going on if the video has a different vibe this week, I guess. But all right, that's it for this video. Look at me, man. I made it. Well, I guess I still have to do the editing, but I think I'll be able to plow through that stuff. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys watching, liking, hyping the video. Always send a comment down below. It's one of my favorite parts, just getting to shoot the shit with you guys about fantasy baseball. So any question you have, always reply down below. I'll reply to every single one, every video. I love you guys. Have a good rest of your day, night, week, weekend, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys real soon.